remote locations. And you can see that these are some of the ping pong balls beginning to ignite. What we wanted to prevent was we knew the fire was going to burn to the bottom of Mount Leonard, and if it did, it would break up this space and potentially throw embers further south closer to Tyler River, ahead of the fire front. So we wanted to prevent that from occurring by burning down the slope. The fire obviously burns a lot less intensely slower downhill than it does uphill. That's a photo of the fire backing down the slope of Mount Leonard. And we're actually, the fire, basically we did the air rendition on one afternoon, and it peaked across the next morning. That met up with the main fire front, so it prevented the fire from making a rapid leak out. So we began to backburn along the edge of the Wilson Concrete Road, bringing fire closer to Tyler River. And we also did some more aerial intensive work on Mount Bishop. So a lot of people are familiar with Mount Bishop because you can see that big granite rock face as you drive close to Tyler River. So you'll notice that fire creates some quite intense fire activity. So there's parts of Mount Bishop where the canopies of the trees have been burned out. And for me, I live here in Tyler River, obviously. I shipped out a lot of my important possessions at the early stages of the fire. But on this particular day, it was when we had some quite intense fire close to Tyler River. I have a sprinkler system on the roof of the house that I rent. So I had that sprinkler system on that day. It was actually, you could hear the roar of the fire. It was quite intense. That's the photo taken from the car park just across the road looking towards Mount Bishop. That's the photo from the Llewellyn Boardwalk looking towards Mount Bishop. So that intense fire activity actually caused some swathing into the Tyler River catchment. That means the fire jumped ahead of the fire front and started another fire ahead of the fire front, which began to burn up the upper part of Tyler River. That's a photo taken on that evening from the summit of Mount Bishop, from the summit of Mount Ophir, looking towards Mount Bishop, and this is Tyler River here. And that's a photo taken further east, looking to the upper parts of the Tyler River catchment. This was the spot fire that was started and began to burn the upper parts of the Tyler River catchment, and ended up burning over to the upper parts of Steelers Creek. So we brought fire closer to Tyler River. We had a little spot that occurred in the upper parts of Steelers Creek. So the reason we brought fire close to Tyler River was it was really important for us to have a blackened edge to the north and east of Tyler River. The reason that was very important was because we had some severe fire weather days predicted. What we were trying to avoid was a scenario where the fire made a rapid down to Tyler River. If it did, we would have less control over that situation and it could potentially burn through Tyler River. So those severe fire weather days on the 27th of February and the 3rd of March. And a lot of people probably remember the 2nd of March because some of you may have received a text message from Victoria Police just warning of the severe fire weather. However, like the rest of the state, we didn't experience severe fire weather on those days. In fact, early on the morning on the 3rd of March, we actually started to rain here at about 9 or 10 o'clock. We started to get some drizzle. So we continued the firefight, but we began to also move into a fire rehabilitation phase. Firefighters had come across into wildlife throughout the firefight and tried to pass them on to carers. However, it wasn't until after the 3rd of March that we allowed specific teams of wildlife carers who are volunteers. They're actually still in this weekend looking for wildlife. So that's kangaroo. Yeah, that's the seat of the kangaroo. So a lot of people think about wildlife, what happens to the pond wildlife. So wildlife ultimately perish in fire, wildlife are injured by fire. And after the fire is also a tough time because there's not a lot for animals to eat. So you actually notice animals beginning to congregate in the green spaces that are left. We're fortunate in the sense that this fire didn't burn very quickly and intensely in a lot of locations. It is fire that burns very quickly and intensely that has the most impact upon wildlife. We continue continued the firefight, except the firefight became a lot more sort of a mundane process where we would go in and would begin to put out hotspots. So basically, hotspots are areas where the ground is still hot, but you may not see smoke emanating from the ground. But the fire can potentially reignite again in those places. So what we'd do is we'd send a helicopter over the fire ground, and it had a heat detecting camera attached to it, and it would detect where the hotspots were. We'd also have ground crews walking in with a heat detecting camera themselves to work on the hotspots. So initially we started off with over 80 hotspots along the northern edge of fire, and gradually that was reduced over the days and weeks to come. To do this sort of work, we had crews come from interstate and overseas. We had guys come from Tasmania, we had some rangers come from the Northern Territory. We had these firefighters come across from New Zealand. So it was a time when a lot of Victorian firefighters were pretty tired, so we relied on outside help. So on Sunday the 15th of March, wet weather led to the fire being declared under control. And that's after it had burnt 25,200 hectares, which is just under 50% of the national park over 36 days. So we've had big fires in the prom before. The last one was obviously in 1951, which probably burnt in the order of about 70% of the national park, and it did that in actually under 10 hours, so it was a very intense fire. And you can actually see evidence of that fire still today. But it's obviously in this time to witness the park recover from this fire, and a lot of people, when they're looking at the park recover, they focus in on grass trees, and we've received a lot of questions about asking about grass trees are obviously some of the first bits of green you see close to the ground. So a lot of people think that that's grown since the fire. In a lot of instances, some instances it has, so this is some new growth from a grass tree that's grown since the fire. It's quite a light green in colour. But with a lot of the grass trees, the actual inner leaves of the grass trees are protected. So the outer leaves burn off the grass tree, the inner leaves are protected, and they've actually just dropped out. That's what's happened with a lot of the grass trees. We've been trying to educate people with some new terms this weekend that relate to the different ways plants can recover after fire. So this is a serotinous. So you can impress your friends with this new term, serotinous. Serotinous is basically a plant that releases heat en masse after fire. An example of a serotinous plant is a banksia, a saw banksia. It releases heat en masse after fire. Does anyone know what this is called? It's on the side of the nuclear tree. It's called epitomic bud or epitomic growth. So basically shielded beneath the bark of particularly stringy bark eucalypts are little buds that are prompted to grow once the bark burns. And it's basically a way of the tree getting energy back quite soon after the fire, even if the crown of the tree burns out. And another way that a plant protects itself is sometimes it stores its energy beneath the soil surface. So actually the actual plant above the soil surface may die, but it'll actually regrow from the base of that plant. And that's called a lignituber. So a potato is almost an example of a lignituber. It's the starchy energy storage beneath the soil surface. There's lots of animal movement after fire as well. In fact, some of that movement is quite interesting. I've seen a rare species of bird called the ground parrot, just the quite overlook. It lives in heathlands. Never seen one here in the prom before. It's likely that bird probably flew from the heathlands in the northeast corner of the prom. It basically dispersed after the fire. You see lots of humans are moving around, and they particularly move through the blackened area, and they're probably moving through those areas in the search of things such as seeds. So just be extra careful as you're driving out of the prom. Animals are definitely on the move at the moment. With fire, sometimes there's winners and losers. So an example of an animal which can be a winner after a fire is this one. So what sort of animal is this one? Anyone tell me, what is it? Fantastic. Can anyone tell me what do a kidney eat? What do they like to eat? Ants? Very well done. That's a very passionate response. They like to eat ants. So for echidnas, after a fire, their food source, if they can survive the fire, their food source is actually still there beneath the soil surface. Ants survive beneath the soil surface. Fire also opens up a lot of areas, so echidnas can get access to areas they previously may not have got access